Familial relationships. Familial relationships cover a wide range, from parents and siblings to aunts, uncles, grandparents, step-parents, cousins, and children. These bonds are often the most significant and longest lasting in our lives. However, when there's family dysfunction, like neglect or abuse, or when family members pass away, people sometimes turn to chosen families. These are deep, non-romantic connections with people we meet later in life who aren't blood-related. This can happen even without trauma or loss. Mead highlights that while we don't choose our biological families, chosen families are equally valid. He also notes that conflict within families is normal and not always a sign of dysfunction. Family, whether by birth or choice, shapes our individual development. Our understanding of culture and our place in society often begins with family, as do traditions passed down through generations. Friend zone. A friend zone relationship, also known as a platonic relationship, is one where you're super close to someone but without any sexual or romantic involvement. Think of your best friends or mentors. Nicholas Mead, PsyD, a postdoctoral associate at Yale School of Medicine's gender program, says, "We generally hold great affection and care for our platonic partners, just without romantic or sexual desire. These relationships can be as fulfilling and loving as any other, but they're often less strictly defined. You can have many platonic friends, from a duo of besties to a whole squad. People usually have many platonic relationships throughout their lives, starting from a young age. Some stick around for a lifetime, while others come and go. Sometimes you may begin to feel something for someone you considered to be merely a friend. Alternatively, a romantic connection that never truly took off may lead to a platonic one. It's still a platonic relationship, as long as such emotions aren't expressed. Professional relationships are unique connections that significantly impact both individuals and their organizations. These relationships can boost a worker's motivation and success within a company. They aren't confined to the office. They can extend outside work too. Professional relationships include more than just friendships. They can also be romantic. Sometimes the line between colleague and partner gets blurred, which can lead to tricky situations, even ending in job loss or social isolation for those involved. Romantic relationships. It includes having a relationship with someone we love and feel attracted to. Romantic relationships can be different for everybody, but typically they involve the following three things: infatuation, intimacy, and commitment. Love consists of three main components: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Romantic love is a mix of passion and intimacy. Over the years, romantic relationships have a way of evolving. Most people first experience feelings of passion when they are first falling in love with someone. These neurotransmitters, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, lead to euphoria that people claim to be in love during this phase. The intensity of these feelings wanes away as time goes by. As the relationship grows, people develop deeper emotional connections and understanding. One thing we know is that romantic relationships, like fires, tend to burn hot when first lit. The initial flames of passion cool as lovers become more accustomed to each other, and the feelings of trust, emotional intimacy, and commitment continue to build. The toxic relationships. A toxic relationship is any type of interpersonal relationship where your emotional, physical, or psychological well-being is undermined or threatened in some way. Such relationships often leave you feeling ashamed, humiliated, misunderstood, or unsupported. Any type of relationship can be toxic, including friendships, family, romantic, or workplace relationships. Sometimes, all people in a relationship play a role in creating this toxicity. For example, you may contribute to toxicity if you are consistently unkind, critical, insecure, and negative. In other cases, one person in a relationship may behave in ways that create toxic feelings. This may be intentional, but in other cases, people may not fully understand how they are affecting other people. Because of their past experiences with relationships, often in their home growing up, they may not know any other way of acting and communicating. This doesn't just create discontentment, toxic relationships can take a serious toll on your health. For example, according to one study, stress caused by negative relationships directly impacts cardiovascular health. Feeling isolated and misunderstood in a relationship can also lead to loneliness, which has been shown to have detrimental effects on both physical and mental health. Toxic relationships can be stressful, harmful, and even abusive. If you are in a toxic relationship with someone in your life, work on creating strong boundaries to protect yourself. Talk to a mental health professional or consider terminating the relationship if it is causing you harm. Codependent relationships. Having a codependent relationship is a hazardous and disastrous type of relationship where one partner becomes emotionally, mentally, and physically dependent on the other. Often, this also involves either or both partners having unhealthy dependency patterns with each other. Both can switch between being the caretaker and receiving care. Signs and symptoms of a codependent relationship are an arrangement where one plays the giver and the other is the taker. Trying very hard not to fight with the other person. Believing you need to ask anyone permission to do anything. Being the one who has to fix another person's problems for them. Pleasing another to make them happy even if the very thought makes you completely uncomfortable. Not feeling like you are yourself in the relationship. Putting them first, even though they've done nothing to earn your favor. Of course, not all codependent relationships are also created equally. It may differ in severity. Codependency can affect all kinds of relationships, including intimate partners, parents and children, friendships, other family relations, as well as work colleagues. These codependent relationships are co-created. That needy partner used to have her needs unmet might also be comfortable because the other partner has always needed her more than she's ever needed him. Open relationships. An open relationship is a consensual arrangement where partners allow each other to have sexual or romantic interactions with others. Both agree to this setup, often with specific rules or boundaries. Whether you're casually dating, in a committed relationship, or married, open relationships can occur in any romantic context. Despite the stigma, studies show that about 21% to 22% of adults will eventually experience an open relationship. Factors like gender and sexual orientation also influence the chances of engaging in such relationships. Guys tend to report more open relationships than women. Folks identifying as gay, lesbian, or bisexual are more likely to have tried open relationships than those who identify as straight. There are upsides, like more sexual freedom, but there can also be downsides, such as jealousy and emotional hurt. These relationships work best when couples set clear boundaries, personal, emotional, and sexual, and communicate openly about their feelings and needs. Open relationships are all about consensual non-monogamy. While there's a main emotional and often physical bond between the two people, they both agree to be intimate with others outside the relationship. Parasocial relationships. Parasocial relationships are one-sided bonds where someone pours emotional energy, interest, and time into another person who doesn't even know they exist. These relationships usually happen with celebrities, musicians, athletes, and internet personalities. The repeated exposure to these media figures makes us feel like we know them, creating illusions of intimacy, friendship, and identification. When these famous folks share positive information and affirmations, our attraction to them deepens. Trust and self-disclosure from the media persona enhance these parasocial ties even more. Over the past decade, with the rise of internet platforms, parasocial behavior has skyrocketed, letting fans peek into the social lives of their idols. This phenomenon isn't new, though. Think Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, and Michael Jackson. Nowadays, it's Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, and a host of internet stars. Casual relationships. Casual relationships are often about dating without the expectations of monogamy or commitment, and they can include sex. But the term is pretty vague and means different things to different people. These relationships can cover a range of situations like one-night stands, booty calls, sex buddies, and friends with benefits. They exist on a spectrum, varying in contact frequency, type of interaction, level of personal disclosure, discussion about the relationship, and degree of friendship. Studies show that people with more sexual experience can better understand these labels compared to those with less experience. Casual relationships are common among young adults but can occur at any age. When marked by clear communication and consent, they can offer sex-positive benefits, fulfilling needs for sex, intimacy, connection, and companionship without the emotional demands of a serious relationship. Acquaintances. Acquaintances are folks you see regularly, but aren't quite friends or family. They might be your neighbor you say hello to while passing by, a coworker, or someone you bump into at social events but don't know well. It's important to be polite and respectful to acquaintances. Having good relationships with people around you, like coworkers, classmates, or neighbors, helps avoid stress and conflict. Sometimes, acquaintances can become friends over time as you get to know each other better. The level of interaction with an acquaintance is usually minimal. You probably won't have much physical contact, though you might shake hands in a work setting or during introductions. Mostly it's just a smile and a friendly greeting,